She was his maid. 7 years later, she owned everything. The ballroom fell silent when she walked in. 300 people. Houston's most powerful. Oil executives, tech founders, city council members, and the kind of old money that didn't need to announce itself. They had all come to the Galleria Grand Hotel to meet the woman no one had ever seen, the mysterious CEO who had just completed the most stunning corporate acquisition in Texas in over a decade. But we'll get to her in a moment. First, you need to understand the man standing near the bar, swirling a glass of scotch, trying to look like he wasn't dying inside. His name was Daniel Mercer. At 34, Daniel Mercer was the kind of man who made other men feel small just by walking into a room. 6'2", sharp jaw, tailored suit. CEO of Mercer Holdings, a $2 billion real estate and tech empire his father had built from nothing in the streets of South Houston. His face had been on the cover of Texas Business Monthly twice. His opinion moved markets. His name opened doors that most people didn't even know existed. He lived in River Oaks, the most expensive neighborhood in Houston, a 12,000-square-foot mansion with a wine cellar, a home theater for luxury cars, and a chef-grade kitchen that he never cooked in. He flew private. He vacationed in places most people couldn't afford to Google. And he never, not once, let anyone forget it. "I built this," he'd say at dinner parties, loosening his tie, leaning back in his chair. "My father came to this country with $40 and a dream. Now look at us." Some people are just born to win. The truth, though, the real truth, was more complicated. His father, Robert Mercer, had built Mercer Holdings with 30 years of 70-hour weeks, 2 heart surgeries, and a work ethic that bordered on obsession. When Robert retired, he handed the company to Daniel not because Daniel had earned it. He handed it to him because Daniel was his only son. "Take care of it," Robert had said, gripping his son's hand. "And take care of the people inside it. The janitor, the receptionist, the security guard. Everyone matters. Everyone." Daniel had nodded. And then he had forgotten every word. His mother, Margaret Mercer, had made sure of that. A cold, calculating woman who wore pearl earrings and designer silk and had married Robert when he was already wealthy. She had spent 20 years acting like the money was her birthright. She handpicked Daniel's friends, controlled his social calendar, and had very specific plans for his future. "You'll marry Claire Ashford," she told him over dinner one evening. "Her father owns the largest construction firm in the South. The merger of our families would be unstoppable." Daniel had barely looked up from his phone. "Is she attractive?" "She's suitable. More importantly, she's wealthy." Set it up. That was Daniel Mercer in a single exchange. Everything was a transaction. Everyone was an asset. And he had built an entire life on that philosophy, cold, efficient, profitable, and completely, devastatingly empty. But fate doesn't care about your philosophy. And fate was about to knock on his front door. Her name was Lily Osei. She arrived at the Mercer mansion on a Tuesday morning in April with a small rolling suitcase, a cotton dress, and the kind of quiet dignity that people with real strength carry without even knowing it. 24 years old. Tall. Dark skin that caught the light like it had been polished. Gentle eyes that held something rare, a sadness and a steadiness living in the same place, side by side. She had grown up in a small town outside Accra, Ghana. Her father died when she was 12. Her mother worked herself into an early grave trying to feed 4 children on a seamstress's wages. By 16, Lily was the head of the household. She cooked. She cleaned. She took any work she could find. She raised her 3 younger siblings with a love so fierce it looked like stubbornness from the outside. When a placement agency offered her work as a live-in housekeeper in Houston, she didn't hesitate. "I'll send money every month," she promised her siblings. "Save everything. I'll come back for you. I promise." Margaret Mercer interviewed her in the sitting room with the efficiency of someone hiring a piece of furniture. "Can you cook?" "Yes, ma'am." "Clean?" "Yes, ma'am." "Do you steal?" Lily looked her in the eye. "No, ma'am. Never." Margaret studied her for a long moment. "You're pretty. Too pretty for a housekeeper. Stay out of my son's way. Keep your head down and remember your place." "Yes, ma'am." Lily was given a small room off the kitchen. Single bed. One window. No air conditioning.
She didn't complain.
She woke at 5 every morning, cleaned the entire house before anyone stirred, cooked 3 meals a day, did the laundry, scrubbed every surface until it gleamed. She worked 16 hours a day for $800 a month, half of which she wired home to her siblings every single week. The other staff noticed. "That girl works like she has something to prove," said Harold, the groundskeeper. "No," said Rosa, the cook. "She works like she has something to protect." Rosa was right. For 6 months, the arrangement held. Lily stayed invisible. She asked for nothing. She expected nothing. And then came the night everything changed. It was a Thursday in October. 2 in the morning. Lily was in the kitchen finishing the dishes after one of Margaret's elaborate dinner parties. Her back ached. Her hands were raw. She had been on her feet for 14 hours. She heard footsteps. Heavy, unsteady. Daniel stumbled in. Tie loosened, top button open, smelling like whiskey and something lonelier than that. He stopped when he saw her. "You're still here?" "Just finishing up, Mr. Mercer." He leaned against the counter and watched her for a moment. Not the way powerful men usually watched women they thought were beneath them. This was different. Quieter. "Sit down," he said. "You look exhausted." "I'm fine, sir." "I wasn't asking." She sat. He poured 2 glasses of water and slid one across the counter. They were quiet for a while. And then Lily asked the question that cracked something open inside him. 3 words no one in his entire life had ever thought to ask. "Are you happy?" Daniel Mercer stared at his glass for a long time. "No," he whispered. "I'm not." They talked until sunrise. Not about money. Not about deals. About life. About family. About the difference between having everything and feeling nothing. Lily told him about her mother. About her siblings. About why she worked the way she did. And Daniel, for the first time in his adult life, listened. Really listened. Something cracked open inside him that night. Something he had kept locked away for years. And it was the most dangerous thing that could have happened to either of them. It happened slowly, the way all the most devastating things do. A conversation here. A shared meal there. Late nights in the kitchen when the house was quiet and the masks came off. Daniel found himself looking for her during the day, listening for her footsteps, wanting to hear her laugh. And Lily, despite every warning in her head, found herself looking back. "This is dangerous," Rosa told her quietly one evening. "He's the boss. You're the housekeeper. Nothing good comes from this, Mija." "I know," Lily said. "Then stop." "I know," she said again. And the heart doesn't listen to warnings. 3 months in, they were something neither of them had a name for. Every touch was stolen. Every moment borrowed. Every kiss was kept secret in the dark of the house while the world slept. "Why can't we just be honest about this?" Lily asked one night, her head on his chest. Daniel was quiet for too long. "You know why. My mother. The merger. My whole world has a plan in it, and you're not in the plan." "What about your plan?" she asked softly. "Not hers. Yours." He pulled her closer. "You're the only real thing in my life, Lily. But the world I live in doesn't care about real." She should have heard the warning in those words. She didn't. Or maybe she did, and she chose to love him anyway. For months in, she missed her period. Then another. She sat on the edge of her small bed holding the test in trembling hands. Joy and terror lived side by side in her chest, the same way sadness and strength had always lived in her eyes. She waited 2 days before telling him. She made his favorite meal, shrimp and grits, and waited until the house was quiet. "I need to tell you something." He put his fork down when he saw her face. The silence that followed was the loudest thing she had ever heard. "Are you sure?" he asked. 8 weeks. He stood up.
Sat down.
Stood up again. Started pacing. And Lily watched him and understood, with a grief so heavy it settled into her bones, that he wasn't trying to figure out how to be with her. He was trying to figure out how to escape. "Choose me," her eyes begged. "Just this once. Please choose me." He walked out without a word. He came back 6 days later, not to choose her. He never got the chance. Margaret had found the pregnancy test in the trash. The confrontation was nuclear. Margaret stood in the grand living room holding the test like a weapon, security guards at the door, Lily trembling in the corner. "You scheming little rat." Margaret's voice was pure venom. "You saw my son's money, and you used your body to trap him. You are nothing. You are less than nothing. You are the dirt we walk on." "Mama, stop." Daniel stepped forward.
No.
"You stop." Margaret turned to her son with cold, precise eyes. "You have a choice. This girl and her situation, or your family, your company, your future.
Choose. Right now."
The room went dead silent. Lily looked at Daniel. Everything was in that look. 7 months of real conversations, real laughter, real love, or whatever it was he had let her believe it was. Everything hung on the next 5 seconds. Daniel looked at his mother, then at Lily, then at his mother. And his jaw tightened, and his eyes went cold. And when he spoke, his voice was a stranger's voice.
"Lily."
"You need to leave." The words hit her like a hand across the face. This was a mistake. "I'll send money for the situation. But you can't stay here." "The situation," she repeated. "This is a baby, Daniel. Your baby." He turned his back. "Security. Please show her out." Lily looked at him one last time. Tears ran down her face, but her voice, when it came, was steady. "You will regret this," she whispered. "Maybe not today, but one day you will understand exactly what you just threw away." He never turned around. 10 minutes later, she walked out of the Mercer mansion. One small suitcase, the clothes on her back, $200, and a baby growing inside her. The gate closed, and the dark Houston night swallowed her whole. Most people would have broken. Lily Osei was not most people. She was the girl who had raised 3 siblings on nothing. The girl who had crossed an ocean on a promise. The girl who had worked 16-hour days without complaint and sent half of every dollar she earned back home. She was not going to break.
Not now.
Not with a child depending on her. The first 3 months were the hardest of her life. She slept in shelters, ate at soup kitchens, took cleaning jobs for cash, anything that wouldn't hurt the baby. Rosa, the cook from the Mercer house, was the only person who helped. She slipped Lily food, gave her old clothes, let her use her address for mail. "That family has no idea what they threw away," Rosa told her. "But God does. God sees everything, baby." Lily didn't wait for God. She took matters into her own hands. She found a job at a small tech startup in Midtown Houston as a janitor. But she didn't just clean. She watched. She listened. She stayed late every night after her shift and sat in the empty conference room and studied the whiteboards. She read the business plans left on desks. She borrowed books from the library and taught herself to code, Python first, then JavaScript, then everything else she could get her hands on. One night, the CEO walked in and found her at a computer, deep in a free online course. Her name was Valerie Chin. Sharp, no-nonsense, and the kind of woman who had built her company from nothing and recognized hunger when she saw it. "How long have you been doing this?" Valerie asked. 3 months, ma'am." Valerie sat down across from her. "You taught yourself all of this? While working full-time? While pregnant?" "Yes, ma'am." A long pause. Then, "What's your name?" "Lily Osei." "Well, Lily Osei, starting Monday, you're not a janitor anymore. You're my intern." Lily's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "I won't let you down. I know you won't. That's why I'm asking." 3 months later, Lily had her baby.
A boy.
She named him Noah. It meant rest and peace and the end of a flood. The intern position became a full-time role. The full-time role became a promotion. The promotion became another. In 2 years, she was Valerie's right hand. In 3, she was running her own division. In 5, she had built a supply chain software platform that transformed how small businesses operated across the South. Valerie offered her a partnership. 50-50. "You've earned this," Valerie said simply. Lily took it. By year 6, their company, Osei Technologies, was valued at $400 million. By year 7, it was worth $1.2 billion. Lily Osei, the housekeeper who had been thrown out into the Houston night with $200 and a baby, was a billionaire. She still woke at 5 every morning, still cooked her own meals, still drove a sensible car. She had brought her siblings to America. She had bought her mother's house back in Accra and turned it into a school for girls. And she had not forgotten. She had not forgotten the cold marble floors of the Mercer mansion. She had not forgotten Margaret's poisonous smile. She had not forgotten Daniel turning his back. She had not forgotten the promise she made as the gate closed behind her. You will regret this. The time for regret had arrived. While Lily rose, Daniel fell. He just didn't know it yet. He had married Claire Ashford exactly as his mother planned. The wedding was enormous. Magazine coverage. 500 guests. Houston's power couple. Behind closed doors, it was a beautiful, hollow shell. Claire loved his credit cards more than she loved him. Shopping trips that cost 6 figures. Vacations that cost millions. A closet full of designer pieces she never opened. She gave him nothing back. No warmth, no partnership, no children. And Mercer Holdings was bleeding. Bad investments. Failed partnerships. A talent exodus, because brilliant people don't stay where they're treated like furniture. His father's $2 billion company was now worth $600 million and falling. The board was losing confidence. Investors were pulling out. Headlines were asking questions Daniel refused to answer. Then came the killing blow. A company called Osei Technologies made a hostile takeover bid for Mercer Holdings. The offer was above market value. Impossible to refuse. The board voted yes before Daniel could even form a sentence. Who is behind this? He screamed at his lawyers. Who is Osei? The CEO keeps an extremely low profile, sir. No public photos. No interviews. We're working on it. But by the time they found out, it was already done. The paperwork was signed. Mercer Holdings, the company his father had built with 30 years of sacrifice, belonged to someone else. He went to the gala because his lawyer told him to. Show up. Be cooperative. Maybe they'll offer you a consulting role. A consulting role. In his own father's company. He stood by the bar and drank a scotch and tried to look like a man and not a ghost. Then the lights dimmed. The MC stepped to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the founder and CEO of Osei Technologies, the woman who has redefined what's possible in this industry. Please welcome Ms. Lily Osei. Daniel's blood turned to ice. The doors opened, and she walked in. But not the Lily he remembered. Not the girl in the cotton dress. This woman wore a custom navy gown that moved like water. Diamond earrings. Her hair swept up with the quiet confidence of someone who had nothing left to prove. She was breathtaking. Not in the way things are beautiful, in the way things are true. And beside her, holding her hand, was a little boy. 6 years old. Big brown eyes. A smile that lit up the entire room. A smile that looked exactly like Daniel's. The glass slipped from Daniel's fingers. It shattered on the marble floor. Lily's eyes found his across 300 people, across 7 years, across all the silence and all the pain. She didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She didn't look away. She simply smiled, calm, powerful, devastating. And Daniel Mercer felt the floor give way beneath him. She addressed the room. Clear voice. Steady. 7 years ago, I had nothing. No money, no home, no one in this country who believed in me. She paused. That's not entirely true. One person believed in me. My partner. My sister, Valerie Chen. Valerie, please stand. Then she looked directly at Daniel. But I also learned something from someone who didn't mean to teach it. I learned that sometimes the people you dismiss, the people you look past, the people you throw away, they are the ones who are always meant to change everything. The crowd murmured. They didn't know what it meant. Daniel knew. Every word was a blade. And every blade was deserved. He found her on the private balcony afterward, the Houston skyline glittering below them. Lily. She turned. Up close, she was even more extraordinary. The years had not hardened her. They had clarified her. She looked like someone who had walked through fire and come out not burned, but refined. Daniel. Her voice was warm, almost kind. It's been a long time. I need to talk to you.
Please.
The boy is he. His name is Noah, she said. He's 6. He's brilliant and funny and kind, and he is entirely, completely mine. I carried him alone. I birthed him alone. I raised him alone. She looked at him steadily. While you were buying Claire a yacht for their 2nd anniversary. Daniel's jaw worked. I'm sorry. I know you are. I want to know him. Please. I'll do anything. Lily was quiet for a long moment. The city shimmered below. A lifetime of loss hung in the air between them. I didn't buy your company for revenge, she said finally. I bought it because it was a good company that your father built, and you were destroying it. I'm going to restore it. I'm going to make it what he intended. She looked at him. And I'm going to put Noah's name on it someday. Not yours. His. Daniel's eyes filled. Will you let me be in his life? She studied him for a long time. Long enough that he stopped breathing. I'm not doing this for you, she said quietly. I'm doing it because Noah deserves to know where he comes from. If he wants to know you, I won't stand in the way. Her voice hardened slightly. But if you ever make him feel like he's not enough, if you ever turn your back on him the way you turned your back on me. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. And Daniel, she added, turning to leave. Your mother is never to come near my son. Not once. Not ever. He nodded. He would have agreed to anything. She walked back inside. Daniel Mercer stood on that balcony for a long, long time. The city he used to own glittered below him. And for the first time in his life, he understood what his father had been trying to tell him all those years ago. Everyone matters. The janitor, the driver, the housekeeper. Everyone. He had held the lesson in his hands and thrown it away. In the months that followed, Claire filed for divorce and moved to New York with someone younger. Margaret received a certified letter from Osei's legal team informing her that her office lease had been terminated and she had 30 days to vacate the premises. She moved out in 15. Mercer Holdings was rebuilt, just as Lily promised, tripling in value within 2 years under her leadership. She kept the Mercer name on the building. Not for Daniel. For Robert. For the old man who had built something real. Noah eventually let his father in. The way children do when they have big hearts, and a mother wise enough not to poison them with her pain. Daniel became a better man, not a hero, but a man who was trying, which is all any of us can really do. And Lily? Lily found love, real love, the kind that is full and open and unashamed. She built a life so whole and so complete that there was no longer any empty space where the grief used to live. She still woke at 5 every morning, still thought about her mother. Still believed, the way her mother had believed, that dignity is not something anyone can give you. It is something you carry inside yourself, through every door that closes, through every gate that shuts behind you, through every night that tries to swallow you whole. Because a woman who survives that kind of darkness doesn't just find the light. She becomes it. And